Hey guys, Pastor Ace here. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to share with you a word that I was reminded of as I was studying the scriptures this morning. And it's the concept of Jesus being our high priest. The writer of Hebrews talks about this in Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 11 and 12. They write, "But Christ, being come and high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands," that is to say, not of this building, but in verse 12, "neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us." Here's why those verses are important. What's happening here is that Jesus has become our high priest. The high priest in Israelite history, you look in the Old Testament, they were the only ones that were allowed to go into the Holy of Holies, and they had to sacrifice an animal. They had to ceremonially cleanse themselves in order to be worthy to go into the Holy of Holies where God would dwell. But now Jesus is going in himself, and instead of sacrificing an animal, he is sacrificing himself. That way we would no longer have to slaughter an animal for our sins to be forgiven. His sacrifice was the final one that was needed for all of our sins to be forgiven. And so what that means, church, is that we are now also priests under Christ. Peter actually talks about this in 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9. He talks about how we have been set apart by God. And that one of the labels that we now have is that we are a part of a royal priesthood. Now, what that also means is this: we now have access to God. See, only the high priest could go into the Holy of Holies, right? Well, now, because of the sacrifice Christ has made, because he has now made us priests, we also have access to God anytime, day or night. We can approach the throne of grace boldly with our requests. That is something that we should be so excited about and be so thankful to know. However, there's also a sense of responsibility that comes along with it. See, as highly regarded as the priests were in Israelite society, they also had a lot of responsibility. There was a lot of things that they had to do. They had to watch for the spiritual welfare of their country as part of their responsibilities. So what that means is this, is that you and I, we must live worthy of our calling and of our title as priests. There is a responsibility for us that we have also been set apart. We are considered God's special people. So let's live like it. And so part of that also is sharing Christ with others, letting other people know the right way to live, that there's only one way to heaven. There's only one way to salvation, and that is through Jesus Christ dying on the cross and then rising again 3 days later, that we have to believe that happened. And so what that is again a challenge to live up to a responsibility to spread the gospel, to live worthy of our calling. So today, as you think about this concept that we are part of a royal priesthood, that we are priests under Christ, we can be thankful for that privilege that we have to be able to access the throne of God anytime. But it is also a challenge for us to live worthy of our calling and to share Christ with others, so that way others can go to heaven with us. Let that be an encouragement and a challenge to you. God bless you. Have a great weekend.